Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Heat number 3 of the fountain pen tournament for 2023. Really looking forward to this one. We've had some nice pens already, and today's pens, the first one, the Pelikan M205. Fairly small pen, made in Germany. That's going to go up against the Pilot Custom 823. The most expensive pen in my collection. Made in Japan, this one it's got a gold nib. Join me now down on the mat. We'll take a look at the pens, do some size comparisons, weights and measures, a writing sample. Then I'll give you my thoughts before handing it over to you for your voting. Here we are down on the table. We've got here the Pelikan M205. Love this blue colour. Really pretty. And we've also got the Pilot Custom 823. Again, I actually love the colour of this. I love the brown colour, but I also like the slight translucency that we've got. Let's jump on in and take a look at the bodies. So we're going to more concentrate on the differences rather than walking through them. Obviously, we do have to talk about the bodies as we're doing that. So the first thing is obvious, the size. There's a big difference in size. That M205 looks quite small. Starting with the M205 at the top, we've got the Pelikan logo. That's on like a black disc. We come down to this silver coloured clip here. The clip, I find it very stiff. I can hardly move that. The cap itself, it's all black and it looks like it's tapering down all the way, right the way down to the bottom. It may straighten out a little bit, but there's certainly, to my eye, there's a definite taper there. The bottom, we've got this ring here, and on there, you can see we've got some writing. We've got Pelikan, and around on the back, Germany. So we know where it's made as well. We've then got a noticeable step down from the cap to the body, and then from there, the body, again to my eye, I think it's actually tapering down slightly till we get to this silver coloured disc. Then we've got this black end cap, and that's for working the piston mechanism. This is a piston filling pen. With the Pilot Custom 823, dome at the top, that comes quickly down until we've got this silver coloured Pilot clip. We've got the word Pilot on there. Clip here, nice and springy. I can really easily work that. Hopefully you can see it. I like that ball at the bottom. That gives me something for my fingers to get hold of. Whereas with this Pelikan one, yes, it's a nice shape, but I struggle to hold it. The cap, so again to my eye, tapering out till we get maybe 2/3 of the way down, then it goes straight and we come down to these gold coloured bands. Again, we've got some writing on there, so we've got 3 stars, Custom 823, 3 stars, Pilot, made in Japan. Nice and simple, again, tells what it is and where it's from. Got a little bit more of the brown material, that's tapering down till we get, again, it's a noticeable step down. I would say not as noticeable as the M205s, but there's a definite step down there, down to the body with this transparency. I've already said, this brown colour. I like seeing the ink sloshing away inside. I quite like demonstrator pens. The body seems to be the same width all the way down. We've got another gold coloured ring. And we've got the end cap. As you see with this end cap, I've got it open. This pen's a piston filler, and it's also got a shut-off valve. So when I'm at home, I tend to leave this open, so I don't have to worry about it running out. How that works, let me just quickly undo that. So it works, and I'm not going to do this, but to fill it, you would unscrew this, pull it out, pop it in the end and push it down. As you're pushing it down, you're pushing the plunger down through this body. That's creating a vacuum behind the plunger. When it gets down here near the bottom, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, it slightly tapers out, so the plunger goes down and then releases the vacuum. And the act of releasing the vacuum, it sucks the ink into the body. And I can, by playing around a little bit, I can actually get a good 3/4 fill on this usually. So just pop that cap back on. I do like the 823. It's got that nice look, it's got that nice shape. But saying that, I do like the M205 as well. I love this blue, I know I've already said it. There's also a definite noticeable difference in the weights. We'll take a look at that shortly. Let's take the caps off these. So with the M205, there's the clip, so we go half, about 3/4 of a turn to come off. With the custom 823, half, 1, 1.5, about 1 3/4. So there's a difference there. I do prefer the custom 823s, very personal choice, but I do think by having that extra couple of turns makes it a little bit more secure. I'm a bit worried that with just 3/4, this could accidentally come off in my pocket or in my bag. Let me just move this a little bit more central. Let's take a look at the nibs. So we'll start with the M205. Fairly simple nib, isn't it? So we've got the breather hole up here at the top. Below that, we've got the word Pelikan. Below that, we've got a Pelikan. And then below that again, we've got B. This is a broad nib. It's a small nib. Just look at it in comparison there to the custom 823s. If we look at the 823, this is a lot more complex nib. So we've got this gorgeous gold colour. The 823, the nib, is 14 karat gold, whereas on the M205, that's steel. Once you start going up in the Pelikan range, so as soon as you go to the M405 or M400 series, very similar in terms of size, but then you're starting to get the gold nibs. So on this nib, we've got a nice decorative border. We've got the breather hole, the word pilot, then we've got 14K, it's a 14K nib. Number 15, that's the size of the nib, it's a pilot number 15 nib. Then B, it's another broad nib. It's a Japanese broad, whereas with a Pelikan, that's a European broad. Right down at this very bottom here, you can see some little numbers. They are telling you where and when the nib was made. Let's take a look at these in the hand. So we'll start with the M205. Look at that. It's just about usable unposted. I like to post this pen. I find it's really nice and comfortable, and I love using this posted. I say it is usable unposted. With the custom 823, that one, I always use it unposted. There we go. You can see that better, nice length, nice size in the hand. It will post. It doesn't make it too long, but to me, I can feel the extra weight of the cap. Could be just in my head, but I do find that this pen very nice to use unposted. Let's swap over and we'll look at some size comparisons. So the pens I brought in, these are my standards. There's a Pilot Metropolitan and a Lamy Safari. The M205 doesn't really look small even against this Pilot Metropolitan, which I think usually feels a small pen to me. Let's take the caps off. So unposted, that M205 starting to get closer in length, isn't it, to the Pilot Metropolitan? But we're still talking maybe 5mm, maybe 4mm shorter. The Pilot Custom 823, even longer than the Lamy Safari. And as I say, the M205 I find a little bit uncomfortable, unposted, but it is doable. Let's post the pens. With the pens posted, the only real difference is the Safari. That's now the longer pen. If we take a quick look at the nibs on all these, see we've got that Pilot number 15. That's the gold one. All the other ones though, the nibs seem very similar size to me. Let's swap over and we'll look at some pens in roughly the same price range. The pens I brought in the Laban 325. That was 147 Aussie dollars. The Pelikan M205, that was 152 Aussie dollars. The Pilot Custom 823, my most expensive pen, That was 394 Aussie dollars. And I've brought in my second most expensive pen, the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. That was 377 Australian dollars. So in terms of prices, I've tried to keep them as close as I can. Not going to show these posted, but you can see here the Leonardo and the Pilot Custom 823. Leonardo just ever so slightly longer. The Laban definitely longer there, and nearly the same size as the Pilot Custom 823. The Laban and the Momento Zero, they've both got number 6 size nibs, and they're both steel nibs. Let's just pop the caps on these. With the caps on, not much difference in the story. The M205 a lot smaller, but the other 3 pens very roughly the same length. Let's get these out of the way and we'll fetch in the rule of measuring. Here we've got the rule of measuring. We'll start with the Pelikan M205. With the cap on, 12.5 centimetres. Unposted, 12.2 centimetres. Posted, 14.5 centimetres. The width of the body, that's 1.18 centimetres. The width of the cap, that comes in at 1.32 centimetres. And the section, very narrow to me. It starts down here at 0.93 centimetres and it goes up to 0.99, so not a big difference. The Custom 823. With the cap on, 14.8 centimetres. That's longer than the other one when it's posted. Unposted, about 13.4 centimetres. Posted, there we're looking at about 16.3 centimetres. The width of the body at its widest, 1.25 centimetres. The cap, again at the widest, which is down here, that's 1.49 centimetres. And with the section a little bit wider, we're going from 1.06 up to 1.13 centimetres. I do find this section a lot more comfortable, whereas the other one can feel a little bit squashed at times. Let's move this out of the way and fetch in the scales of weighing. Here we've got the scales of weighing. Start with a Pelikan M205. Whole pen, 15 grams. Body only. Now there is ink in here, 10 grams. The cap, 5 grams. Quite a light pen. I've already said this, it's a piston filler. There's no ink window, so I can't even show you how much ink is in there. With the Pilot Custom 823, the whole pen, 31 grams. The body, 21 grams. The cap, 10 grams. Let's swap over and fetch in the notepad of testing. Here we've got the notepad of testing. This is Oxford Optic paper. It's a really nice fountain pen friendly paper. I'm going to start with the M205. So we've got a Pelikan M205 with a broad nib. Price 152 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine and it's Sapphire blue. I do find this a pretty blue colour, and I think it's a good match for a lot of the tones there in the body. Drying times, so we go immediate. Looks fairly wet, doesn't it? 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Let's just go on the line above there. After a minute, it's still smudging a bit. I'm not going to do a 2-minute test, but we can see as a combo, this is fairly wet. I'm going to move the mic down to the page and write a sentence. That's very smooth. The nib, it feels soft. It doesn't feel springy, but it feels soft. It's not a stiff steel nib. Very pleasant. Not a lot of feedback. It's fairly quiet when I'm writing. Line variation. So this is with no pressure. This is with some pressure. Then we go non-pressured, non-pressure, non-pressure. Slightly wider line, not overly much though. Flow test. Now I'm going to try a new flow test. Let's see how this goes. So there we go. Yeah, keeping up quite nicely. And then this is really, I'm trying to go the opposite way. Really felt weird doing that. Ink flow keeps up really nice. Overall, very enjoyable experience. Get a nice broad line. It's consistent. Got this nice blue colour. I say it matches really well. Really enjoy this. Really nice. Let's move this up ever so slightly. And now we'll write with the Pilot Custom 823. So I'm not going to post this one. So we've got a Pilot Custom 823. Also a broad nib. And the cost for this, 394 Aussie dollars. That's like 2.5 times the price of the M205. The ink is by Dominant Industry. And it's Lungo. Very nice brown ink. I do quite like brown inks. It's one of the things that does surprise me. You know, I never ever would have thought I'd like a brown ink. And we're already seeing here loads of shading coming through. There's loads of character in this ink. Drying times. So we go immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Again, smudging slightly. I would actually say maybe smudging just a teeny little bit more than what we were seeing with the Pelikan. Let's move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen writing. Very nice to write with. It's soft. There's a little bit of a bounce to it. I do think there's a little bit more feedback on this pen, certainly audible feedback, and it doesn't feel as smooth as what I was getting with the M205. I'm not sure which I prefer, to be honest, because I do like feedback with my pens. I love the shading. We can see a load of the shading coming through here. Looks really nice. It's a really nice experience. Line variation, so there's no pressure. And add some pressure. So we are getting a wider line. Got a little bit more give. I wouldn't put too much pressure on it though. No pressure, with pressure, none, with, none, and with. So in my normal writing, I find, you know, even like with a sentence, you do see a little bit of line variation. Flow test. So this is going one direction. I forgot to try and work out how to do this. I know it's really driving my mind around the twist trying to get this right. Hopefully that was right. No issues with ink flow. So what are my thoughts on these two pens? I like both of them. They're different, and they're different enough that they don't really clash with each other. I like the classy look of the Pelikan. A little bit on the small side, but I just can't afford something like the M800. That's just way out of my budget at the moment. It's written nicely. I've not had any issues. No hard starts, no skips. Really enjoyable. I do find the section to be a bit on the narrow side. As you can see there, my fingers, they're squashing up against each other. It would be nice to have had a little bit wider section. The pen's light. I don't actually mind that. I don't mind light pens, because they vanish into your hand when you're using them. I think they're quite nice. With the Pilot Custom 823, it's just class. Just looks like pure class, doesn't it? It is such a nice pen. It fits nice in the hand. It's very comfy. That section, really nice size for me. I think that's nearly a perfect section. We've got some complexity on the nib. It's one of the things, you like to see the way the light plays off the nib when you're writing. Yes, I know the different inks, so it's not a 100% light for light comparison. In this tournament, I'm started off with 8 pens, and I didn't really feel like having the same ink in all of them, because by the time I've gone through the tournament, that's going to be maybe 2 months of time, and using the same ink in so many pens for 2 months, personally I would have found boring. So yes, I know the inks are different. Very much enjoyable pens. They're both, I'm not going to say they're expensive for what they are, but they're both a lot of money. $152, nearly 400 Aussie dollars for that Pilot Custom 823. It's a big expenditure. I do think they're both good value though, because they perform so well. So over to you now. Head on over to the community tab on my YouTube page. The poll should be open. In a week's time, I'll take a look at the poll, and then I'll do a YouTube short. I may try around with a YouTube live. I'm still playing around with that myself. And in a week's time, a week from publication, I'll announce the winning pen that will go forward to the semi-finals. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on these pens? Do you like them? Here's your chance to have your say. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.